Hey, how's it going, everybody, and welcome back into the SFS channel. My name's Gavin, and today we're hopping into some early Week 12 waiver wire pickups. Now, the season is flying by very quickly. I'm hoping that Sunday afternoon's games and Sunday night football went very well, and that you guys are looking good here as we get into Monday morning here, obviously with just Monday night football to go this evening. So, drop down in the comment section below. Let me know how your fantasy team performed this week. Again, hoping all of you guys were able to go out there and have successful weeks. But if not, or even if so, we've got 10 names this week. So usually we just do 5, but today as we get deeper into the season, obviously, there are a lot of injuries and there are a lot of players that need to be replaced in lineups. So today we're going to talk about some of the most critical names to use to address those problems that we're having in our lineups and some potentially league-winning assets that I see out there in a lot of leagues for the rest of this season. So with that being said, if you're new around here to the channel, drop down, click that subscribe button, and join the SFS community today. We strive to be the most interactive fantasy channel on YouTube and want to get back to as many of your comments, questions, and all that good stuff down there. So if you have questions for me regarding your individual teams, put those down there as well, and I'll try and help you guys out best address those issues and figure out which player is most worthwhile your ads for this week. So with that being said, drop down and give today's episode a like, but let's hit that intro and get right in to our first must-add player for Week 12. Alright, before I get started, one quick note. This will be the only episode going up today on Monday. Usually we post 3 videos. We post 2 additional trade target episodes. Those will be coming out tomorrow on Tuesday morning for Week 12 here. But while I'm home for Thanksgiving break, I want to take some time to try and improve the quality of content that we bring to you guys and try and up the level of production and whatnot that we have to offer for you all. So we're going to get this must-add players out here, get you guys the vital information you need, and then we'll get the rest of those episodes cranked out to you all later in the week, and you guys can spend your Thanksgiving season watching some good old SFS here. So Cam Newton's our first must-add player for this week, the quarterback of his former and now current Carolina Panthers. It was very fun to watch Cam in what would have probably been a very boring football game had Cam Newton not been a part of the storyline, facing off against his former head coach in Carolina during his first stint there, Ron Rivera for the Washington football team. But man, Cam looked pretty good in this game. Now, he didn't accumulate a ton of passing yards. The Panthers did go home with an L. But Cam, who's only owned in 37% of leagues, so there's an opportunity for 63% of fantasy teams out there to go add him. He put on a show. 3 total touchdowns, had a 20-plus yard rushing touchdown. That's what we love to see. 10 carries, 46 yards for Cam, a touchdown pass to DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey on 2 separate occasions. So I was impressed enough in this performance to feel comfortable and want to roster Cam for the rest of the way this season. I actually streamed Cam Newton in 3 leagues this week where I was out Lamar Jackson or had some players on bye, whether it was Kyler Murray not playing this week either. So Cam came up clutch for me here in Week 11. Looking forward to him doing some other impressive things in Week 12 and beyond. But the rushing value here, that's the key ticker that makes Cam Newton a viable fantasy asset. You don't see too many players giving you this level of production, and especially those goal line. And honestly, the rushing touchdown he scored this week came from outside of the red zone. So that's a great asset to have on your team. If you can pick up Cam Newton as a very strong and quality quarterback 2 option, that's 100% an avenue I would explore for your rosters this week. At number 2, I'm going to keep pounding the table for Elijah Moore. We have got to pick up Elijah Moore in more leagues. I've been on this for a few weeks now, and I talked about his league-winning potential last week. He's the most explosive player in this offense. Plain and simple, Elijah Moore's time is now. He's capitalizing on opportunities, and I don't see him going back. I mean, the numbers he's been producing for the last month of the season, even in limited playing time, because he's not even out there for the entirety of the Jets' offensive snaps, he's putting up numbers. He got the job done with Joe Flacco this week. Last week when Flacco subbed in late in the game against Buffalo for Mike White, who had a poor performance, 4 interceptions, Joe Flacco came on the field, instantly realized the talent and potential Moore possesses and marched down the field and capped off a drive with a touchdown reception. So Elijah Moore is a great talent. Again, a super explosive player. 8 grabs on 11 targets, 141 yards and a touchdown this week. He has league-winning upside with Miami, Jacksonville, and Tampa Bay down the stretch. 40% owned in ESPN leagues. That number needs to get up at least into the 70s here, as his production has been astronomical. Darnell Mooney here for the Chicago Bears, owned in just over 50% of leagues, so not as widely of a addable option here, but again, a player I would prioritize. I would say that Elijah Moore is someone who I'd probably add over a Darnell Mooney just because of the fact he's going to be available in more leagues and you're going to have the opportunity to snatch him up, as well as I think Moore has maybe a higher ceiling, but Darnell Mooney is certainly someone who has a respectable ceiling as well. I loved what he did this week with Andy Dalton filling in for Justin Fields, who injured his ribs. Now, as of the time we're recording this episode late on Sunday evening, a report has come out that Justin Fields is dealing with what is expected to be bruised ribs. So they're going to do some more investigating, some more imaging on those ribs. But the initial signs for Justin Fields are positive, which you love to hear here as Darnell Mooney and Justin Fields already have good chemistry, and as a combination that you look back to that Pittsburgh game, worked out very well for the two of them. So Mooney, he had a whopping 16 targets against Baltimore this week, only caught 5 of his receptions, so under 33% of his targets were actually hauled in that contest. But man, 16 targets is a lion's share right there. No Allen Robinson on the field, but Darnell Mooney is that field stretching asset. He made the big play in this contest, and going forward the rest of this season, as this offense continues to get its passing game legs underneath itself, I really like the potential he provides to fantasy managers out there, and I think he's another one that could have some big impacts on leagues down the stretch. Marquez Valdes-Scantling of my Green Bay Packers, not someone I'm overly excited about, but still worth an add in some deeper leagues out there. Now, Darnell Mooney and Elijah Moore are 1,000% higher priority pickups. But if you've got an extra bench space available in a 12, 14, 16-man league, you've got a deep bench space, it's at least worth picking up MVS. He has a high ceiling. He's not necessarily a target monster, although he did see 10 targets come his way. Only caught 4 passes this week, but he did catch the huge touchdown in the first play, where Aaron Rodgers basically had to score a touchdown to tie against the Vikings. Aaron and MVS score in one play. Minnesota gets the ball back, doesn't give the ball back to Green Bay. That's the end of the story there. Vikings win that one with a late field goal. But MVS here, again, with a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers who can put the pin on the needle, or I guess that's not how that saying goes, but he can thread the needle, rather, and put that ball on the money. MVS, a guy who can also have burners and just fly past defenders. It's a valuable enough situation that if you are really in desperate need of a high upside streaming flex option, Marquez Valdes-Scantling can give you value here and there, although he is certainly not someone to expect to have consistency for your lineups. Alex Collins, now that we have official word that Chris Carson is essentially out for the season with that season-ending neck surgery, Alex Collins is the main man in the Seattle running back committee now. There are other running backs taking touches. You've got Rashad Penny back there. You've got DJ Dallas taking carries. But although it wasn't a super high workhorse type of workload for Collins this week, he still led this backfield by a respectable margin with 10 rushing attempts. Seattle looks like a mess right now. This isn't a situation where you're getting super productive numbers out of Collins. But if you're in a league where RBs are few and far between and you're in desperate need of a very, very low RB2, Collins is worth a roster space. He can be a fill-in, and if he finds the end zone, he does have serviceable lineup production value. Again, not a high upside starter, but someone who has a situation that gives him the opportunity to be rosterable in different leagues. Rex Burkhead, now you might be asking yourself, Gavin, Rex Burkhead plays for the Houston Texans. Why is he wearing a New England Patriots jersey on the screen right now? Well, all of Rex Burkhead's images are either that of him in the Pats uniform or like the 3 photos out there that exist of Rex Burkhead wearing Texans jerseys are all stock images or have some sort of watermark covering them, so they look terrible. Basically, no one wants to take pictures of the Texans this year. Anyways, Rex Burkhead, he had the lion's share of the opportunities in the backfield for Houston this week. Now, this is not a super lucrative fantasy situation. His 18 rushing attempts only netted him 40 yards rushing. Tyrod Taylor was actually the most productive rushing threat for Houston this week. Only had 27 yards rushing, but he did have 2 rushing touchdowns. So thanks for snatching that from Rex Burkhead and David Johnson-like players. But, there's at least some value to be had here, again, in deeper leagues where you're desperate for RB help. You could just use Rex Burkhead here and there in given fantasy contests. He's not going to give you a huge ceiling whatsoever, and he's about as vanilla of a running back as it gets. He's a very bland, non-flashy player. He can do some work in the passing game, but overall, not too exciting of an asset here. But once again, I will say there are situations in some leagues where he's worth the pickup. Could be a player that could be salvaged in some way, shape, or form for rosters. And again, desperate times call for desperate measures here. Justin Fields, a player who I'm much more excited to add in leagues where he is currently available to be rostered. Again, did go out with bruised ribs, not cracked ribs or fractured ribs. As of right now, that's the information we have. So that is good news. That means Justin Fields could be back out on the field as early as this coming week. You love the talent. The way he played against Pittsburgh was spectacular. You really saw the poise, the developments he's had as a passing threat. I think the sky's the limit for Justin Fields. Now, he's not going to reach those heights during this NFL season. But overall, this is a situation where you've got 2 quality wide receivers, you've got yourself a running game, and you've got yourself a young tight end, Cole Kmet. I think that there's some stuff that can be worked with here and ultimately give Justin Fields some value down the stretch. We talked about Cam Newton, the legs and that asset that provides to him in the fantasy world. Justin Fields has similar rushing level assets as a fantasy quarterback. At this point, his straight line speed is faster than Cam Newton. He has a similar body type, not nearly as large, not nearly as able to impose his will physically in terms of putting his shoulder pads down. We've actually seen Justin Fields get embarrassed and put down to the turf when lowering his shoulder a couple times this ceiling. That's besides the point, but that doesn't really happen to Cam Newton. The point here is that Justin Fields can move. He has got burners in terms of a player at the quarterback position, getting out in space and scrambling. He can provide some value in the rushing side of things for QB2 needy teams or teams that have a really solid quarterback one and have already had that player experience their bye week, meaning that they aren't really in danger of their starting quarterback missing games the rest of the way. Justin Fields is a high upside stash option that in the event that quarterback gets injured, in the event that he gets COVID, misses time for whatever reason, Fields is a capable option that can come out here and have some very quality fantasy performances. Latavius Murray of the Baltimore Ravens now, he's kind of playing second fiddle right now he is playing second fiddle right now to Devontae Freeman, who is the lead back in this 2-man committee system between Murray and Freeman. But with that said, Latavius still, again, you talk about some of these other not too exciting running back threats on the list today, but Latavius still deserves to be on the list for the fact that he can be a goal line asset. He can get rushing touchdowns or at least opportunities to score rushing touchdowns. He was out-touched, 22 total touches for Devontae Freeman to Latavius Murray's 12. But any given week, again, just like some of the other players in Alex Collins we talked about, any given week, if on one of those 12 touches, a touchdown is to result, that can save that value and put you in lower-end top 24 territory. Latavius Murray, another quality bench stash. And if I was a Devontae Freeman owner, it seems kind of goofy that you would handcuff another running back in a committee-style system. But when we see one or more running backs go down in a committee, you start to see a temporary workhorse situation arise. So if Devontae Freeman, something were to happen there, Latavius Murray would be next in line to see the bulk of the carries for as long as Freeman was expected to miss. So all hypothetical. Latavius Murray's ceiling is not very high when Devontae Freeman is in the lineup, but it's a noteworthy situation when Lamar Jackson comes back. That'll help open up this rushing offense as well, and that will create opportunity for these players to make an impact. Russell Gage, I like this as another add at the wide receiver position for this week. Hasn't really done anything too flashy this season. Only 5 receptions on 8 targets for 49 yards on Thursday night. A short week against the Patriots. They were shut out 25-zip. As long as Calvin Ridley's out of the lineup, though, Russell Gage is my top wide receiver option in this Atlanta offense, and especially with Cordell Patterson missing time as well. He's technically their wide receiver 1, although he lines up in the backfield quite frequently. When Calvin is out of the offense, which he will continue to be for as long as he chooses, essentially, going forward. But Russell Gage here at least provides some flex lineup utility in desperate situations. Again, not an overly high upside play here. The Falcons' offense is already incredibly strapped in terms of their ceiling because of Matt Ryan's immobility and their offensive line's inept ability to pass protect for more than a couple seconds. Matt Ryan is getting killed back there and frequently slammed down to the turf over and over again. So Russell Gage is worth a pickup, but manage your expectations here. Not someone who's going to, the better names were closer to the start of the episode. Let's just say that your Cam Newtons, your Darnell Mooney's, and your Elijah Moore's. Russell Gage, I would say, is a significant notch below those players, but I might add him over MVS or someone like that in terms of his floor and his ability to produce while Calvin Ridley is off the field. And then finally here, Rashod Bateman. We've talked about Rashod a good, healthy chunk here on the channel, and thankfully he was added a decent bit before games on noon, Sunday afternoon, or I guess wherever time zone you're at. We're in Central Time here at SFS, so that's when games kick off for us on Sundays. But Rashod Bateman's coming out party, his huge ceiling game was a bit spoiled. Marquise Brown was out with thigh and illness-related issues, so there was really no opportunity for him to play in this game. But then the news that Lamar Jackson was going to be out about half an hour to an hour before kickoff really stunted the production for Rashod Bateman. And that's ultimately, I think, what was the difference here between him having a nice game and him not having a quality performance. He's certainly able and capable of exploiting this Bears secondary and giving them fits if he was able to work with quality quarterback play, but that wasn't the case here. And that's going to happen. So Rashod Bateman, though, I love the skill set. He's one of my favorite wide receivers in the 2021 draft class. This dude is so talented. His game is so complete, and he has such a nice ceiling in terms of what he can be as a player in this offense with time, development, and just more opportunities, more looks to make plays. Really liking Rashod Bateman this year. I think that down the stretch, he can be a quality difference maker in 2 flex leagues. If you've got him as your second flex, that's an opportunity I would love to have on my roster. So Rashod Bateman, go pick him up, stash him on your bench until we see one of those breakout performances, or if we've got a nice matchup, for Baltimore in the coming weeks, another opportunity I would take advantage of and put him in the lineup. Alrighty, those were our Week 12 waiver wire pickups, 10 of them to be exact here today. Make sure to drop down your comments, questions, concerns, whatever you have regarding your individual teams here for Week 12 action. I'll do my best to get back to you throughout the day tomorrow as we prepare the immense lineup of videos that we've got in store for you all the rest of this week. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do that. Turn the bell on so you're never late for an episode. We're going to keep those coming out rapid fire here for Thanksgiving week and weekend, and hopefully it'll be a super fun week. I mean, we've got to get the episodes out quick and in very extreme fashion here with games, multiple of them. I believe it's 3 contests being played Thursday on Thanksgiving. So a lot of work to do here at SFS. We're game, though. It's going to be a great week. We're going to finish this thing out strong and get you guys packing home with a bunch of fantasy championships this season. So we want to have you guys stick around for the ride throughout the rest of the year. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you all next time. Peace out.